Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our session on modern UI and its role in talent acquisition. My name is Hina Jawani, and I am one of the lead trainers for our Tekion Professionals program. On stage with me today, I have David Spisak, CEO and founder of Disruptive Growth Solutions, and Jesse Dosanjh, president of California Automotive Retail Group. If you guys can please take a second to introduce yourselves to our audience.
So I'm David Spisak. I'm the CEO of Disruptive Growth Solutions. We're based in Portland, Oregon. And this is my 44th year in automotive retail. It's probably my 35th NADA. And I consider myself a lifetime white belt in retail automotive. Every day I learn something. And it's such a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you.
Pleasure's ours.
Thank you, Jesse Dosanjh, president of California Automotive Retailing Group based in the San Francisco Bay Area. Have 22 different rooftops and are happily utilizing the Tekion ARC platform at every facility, and very happy to be here today. Thank you.
We appreciate you guys. In the past, our industry has been focused on hiring based on knowledge of legacy softwares and really haven't had the chance to hire based on potential and skill sets, right? So with the introduction of modern UI, we are really able to now hire based on aptitude and skills. And so I kind of want to talk to you guys about your experience with kind of going into Tekion and what you have experienced with this change. So I'll start out with my first question with you, Jesse, and then we'll pass it on to David as well. My first question for you would be, from your perspective as an expert, could you elaborate on the significant impact of incorporating a modern cloud-based UI in attracting and retaining top talent within competitive automotive dealership landscape?
Absolutely. And to your point, automotive hiring has really been transformed with a platform like Tekion. And the reason that is because we used to hire based upon legacy experience. When we used to interview a service advisor, the first question was, okay, so what DMS system do you know? And to have that as the first question in an interview is completely antagonistic to what we should be hiring for, which is, to your point, attitude and aptitude. So now we hire for skill, personality, and their legacy experience is completely irrelevant due to the ease of the platform.
That's an absolutely fantastic point. And dealerships, for better than 2 decades, and it's getting harder and harder just to find great talent. But it turns out that one of the contributors for that is the fact that, as Jesse said, we've been relegated to having to find somebody to replace somebody else based simply on the systems that they have familiarity with. Now, why is that? Well, it's because the managers who are tasked with developing those people are already dealing with an archaic system that is slow, that is onerous, and that makes their own job difficult. They don't have the bandwidth or the free time to develop their people. So what do? You get somebody on there, and as soon as they say, yes, I understand how to use this platform, I understand how to use that, we go, done, go and hire them. And what we should be doing is saying, okay, where does this person land? Do they fit with my team? Do they fit with the culture? Right, Jesse? I should be measuring them on their emotional, IQ. Because at the end of the day, we've been talking for more than 10 years about elevating the client experience. And to the greatest degree, we haven't been able to do it. But why would we if we have not actually up-leveled ourselves with getting people that are passionate and obsessed with that client experience and have the emotional IQ to deliver on that? And so I really love and admire what you've done with your organization because you've availed yourself of that. And I'm guessing it's also availed you of being able to hire maybe Gen Zs or millennials that other dealers are struggling to bring aboard.
Absolutely. And to your point, once you enhance that employee experience, that naturally translates to taking care of the customer, right? And so that retention and lifetime value chain is only enhanced by the platform from A to Z, and the whole ecosystem is just enriched. And it's something that can't be replicated or candidly valued, given what we've seen.
Seems like it's just a massive competitive advantage for all Tekion dealers because they're availed of the entire talent pool out there rather than just this 10% that has that specialized knowledge.
Unequivocally.
Great.
I think a very common theme of this weekend has been modern AI and kind of growing towards the future, right? So you guys have been living in the future for quite a bit now.
I always say I'm from the future because I'm usually the oldest guy in the area, and I say, take care of yourself because otherwise this is happening.
Of course.
Yeah, I think I saw you driving 88 miles an hour the other day.
That might be true.
So my next question, I'll start out with you, David, is how has the impact of modern cloud-based UI design affected the automotive dealership industry? And are there any particular changes that have drawn your attention over time?
Yes, I'll answer both of those. I'm going to start with the latter. People don't want products anymore. They want solutions. They don't want to deal with vendors. They want to deal with partners. So they're looking for things that are not going to provide them with incremental improvement, but rather transformative impact on their organization. That's what modern UI does. So I'll just start right there. In terms of AI, AI is the next buzzword, catch term that all over this convention hall, you hear it almost ad nauseum. And the real question is it applicable? Will it have an impact? And in the case of, what Jay just announced yesterday, when you have solutions like the Sales Concierge Pro that allows me to seamlessly, without friction, I have somebody that I'm working with, I can click a button, I can open up a screen. Now I have humanity in there. I've got a human connection. I could work with them. I could bring in my sales manager, F&I manager. I could transport it over to my phone. That's huge. But another big piece, as you're speaking specifically about AI, is the AI ML with the data. People don't want reports. When's the last time in any company where somebody said, hey, boss, Jesse, I was thinking, you got a lot of technology in here, but you know what we really need? More reports. Nobody's ever said that. But what they need are insights. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I think the insights are incredible, and it allows you not to have to manage results. You can manage the activities, right? So the reports gives you the results and what the tangible outcomes eventually are. But our job is to manage those activities now instead of managing the end result, and it makes it more applicable and more functioning. And historically, there's just been a huge historical asymmetry between the automotive industry and the real world, right? I mean, you can go on DoorDash, you can order dinner, and it's agnostic to whether you're a Gen Z, Gen Y, a legacy user, right? And so what the Tekion platform has enabled, candidly, is to bring automotive retailing into the future. And to your point specifically, the concierge system has allowed us to have that frictionless experience, not only for the customer, but for our employees in order to provide a unique experience that gives us a huge comparative advantage over the competition.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, Jesse, and I love the way your brain works. I love that you have the same passion and obsession for your associates as we all say that we want to have for our clients. And I say that because, as much as everybody talks about wanting to reduce friction, make it easier, better client experience, that has to start inside the dealership. It has to start by knocking down barriers and obstacles. And what can I do to make it easier for my people to do their jobs, to connect with clients, and for them to provide that seamless experience? And that's exactly what you said. And until or unless dealers recognize that, understand that, and then take an action to provide a solution that could deliver on that, that's just unfortunately going to be an oasis or a pipe dream that they desperately want, but you just can't build a bridge to get there with old technology. Do you agree?
Absolutely. And to your point, the pre-existing legacy technologies try to accomplish that frictionless experience, but not through a way of reinvigorating and through a cloud platform. It's just plug on upon plug on. And what you find is that you end up paying for additional services that bolt on, that require additional logins, that are not as seamless, and the utilization is not even measurable because it just becomes a liability, not an asset for the employee. So Tekion really enables us to bring value to the customer, value to the platform that is delivered, again, to the entire ecosystem.
It's funny, I was talking to Doug Ero from Longo, and he so much echoed the things, Jesse, that you really have locked onto. Being able to hire better, being able to get the right people in the organization, being able to reduce the friction for the associates, being able to enable them to deliver a better experience to the clients. And what it makes me think of is that, dealers oftentimes, we make the mistake of hyper-focusing on price. And there's irony in that, because we don't like when clients come into our dealership and hyper-focus on price. We want to be able to share with them somehow so they can understand the value of doing business with us, the value of the vehicle over the lifetime. And if they just focus on price, it turns out that most customers have some level of dissatisfaction during the ownership experience. And it turns out that the people that didn't care so much about the discount, but cared about who they bought it from, paid full price, are the highest CSI customers, highest retention customers we have. Well, it works that same way for associates, right? And so rather than grinding on price, if you focus on getting the right solution, you're going to end up getting so much better of an ROI. The thing that I want to ask Jesse about is, in your opinion, when dealers do that, are they making a big mistake because they're not able to quantify the massive value? Everything that you've spoken about can't be quantified, but yet it's had a massive impact. Do you agree with that? What would you say to those dealers?
Yeah, well, here's the thing, right? Having an analytical perspective like yourself and candidly looking at the bottom line, attribution of a single dollar is very important to the dealer world, right? We always heard of those lead providers say, we drive floor traffic, but how do we measure it, right? So to your point, if you look at the ecosystem and you try to identify the value, I think the value can be measured. If there's one statistic, is employee turnover, right? To your point, there's that inherent elasticity when you're, shopping for a vehicle. But once you hit that threshold, the intangible value that you can build, I think is inevitably reflected not only in the efficiencies, the customer experience, your social media reviews, but your employee retention, right? And so to see that retention number being so much more robust versus some of the other competitors and, some of, other legacy systems, it builds that confidence knowing that, look, we can measure the value, we can see the efficiency, we can see, how we minimize loss through Tekion, but the human capital is something that is perhaps more valuable that we candidly can't measure, but is something that is hugely impactful for our business.
I think it's going to continue to take a little time to transform, and that's actually good news for Tekion dealers because they're going to have this massive competitive advantage that is not easily measurable. But if you talk to each and every one of those dealers, within the first 6 months, they have recognized additional components that drive ROI. For example, I'm not using toner. I'm not using data scanning. I don't need to hire the person to take the banker boxes and file everything into the data scanner. I've reduced or eliminated paper. I've reduced the friction, so my productivity has gone up. And oh, by the way, my people are happier, right? And when you've got happy, shiny employees, to your point, Jesse, they hang around. And it turns out there's a direct correlation between low turnover and optimized profitability. So for any dealer out there, if you continue to suffer or have to deal with high turnover and you wonder why your volume, your performance, your gross and your net's not going up, you've got to attack that first. And it's not possible with old architecture or old solutions. Do you agree?
Absolutely. I think you've hit a wall with some of the legacy systems, and we're candidly in an environment with some headwinds that are coming, and to be able to execute with efficiency and retain employees to reduce turnover costs is imperative. And that's something that we're very focused on heading into the future. And, and taking a small step back too, if you look at the candidly cost of what you're paying for Tekion versus the legacy systems with all the bolt-ons, I mean, I'm not going to throw out numbers, but it was it was a significant savings. So
That's awesome. Amazing. I think the best thing I heard was the word efficiency throughout that, right? And that's our goal, is to make sure that all of our dealer partners are as efficient as possible and are not having to do any workarounds or anything that's extra that they shouldn't have to do on a day-to-day basis. So that's awesome to hear. The next thing I would like to talk about is the changing job market, right? Who's entering the job market for the dealership? Gen Zs, millennials, expectations are changing, right? Based on career growth, things like that. So my next question for you guys would be, in your experience, what key features do you consider crucial in a modern DMS, particularly when targeting millennials and Gen Z candidates during recruitment?
So candidly, it's the ease of use, and to be quite frank, also the reliability of the system, right? Having a cloud-based platform that is, not reliant on servers or networks that go down in this area is just incredible, right? So for me, it's this ease, adaptability, and reliability.
So I'm a big believer that success leaves clues. We've all heard that. I'm also a big believer that disruption oftentimes happens from outside the walls of an industry. And, I think when you look at a company like Apple, for example, we could take some clues from Apple. They understood that the client experience is paramount, and they had a singular goal to deliver that same superior client experience, whether we go online on our phone, on our desktop, or in the store. You're allowing me to choose when I want to buy, how I want to buy, where I want to buy. But none of those options diminish the experience. Amazon has got, if you look at the difference between their actual company employee count and how many work for Amazon, it is a wide variance. They don't get bogged down in that all of them have to be employees. They have to all wear the same thing. They all have to be driving an Amazon truck. All of you have received packages where somebody is pulled up in their Toyota Corolla or their minivan, and they come out and they deliver you a package. And Amazon is availing themselves and leveraging all the talent out there. I think it's time that we as an industry kind of bust out of the box and saying you have to work 12 hours a day, you have to work every weekend, you have to work nights. Because when you talk to millennials, especially Gen Zs, balance of life matters to them. Having a life after 7 o'clock matters to them. Weekends matter to them. And so, just as an example, Sales Concierge Pro, I'd get so excited because I would hire people that I would never be able to hire that had great emotional IQ, that were completely committed to the mission. You see this with Tesla, you see it with Apple, you see it with Tekion. But they're hyper-focused on accomplishing that mission with customers. They don't have to leave their condo or their apartment. They could be a mom, or a single parent working from home, and they may be your top salesperson. And what do you care if you could see them there or not? Because they now can get online with any client, and oh, by the way, they could be available to a greater degree. They could be more efficient. Hey, is Susan available? No, I don't know where they are. They're out with some customer. I don't know when they're going to be back. They're going to be lunch. No. With Sales Concierge Pro, they could contact Susan, pick up the mobile phone, bam. Yes, Bob, how are you? Hey, Susan, do you still have that car? I do. Actually, hold on just a second. Bam. And I could communicate and I could sell a car. At the end of the day, shouldn't we be focused on what really matters, which is exceeding the client experience and being able to deliver more volume and in more cars and more profitability so that I could continue to support my associates, my clients, and my community, right?
Absolutely. And I think, your point of the sales concierge is just the tip of the iceberg, right? So we're able to engage at not only the employees' convenience, but more so the customer's convenience as well. I mean, when you're able to browse a vehicle, execute documents, when you're, between a school pickoff or, sitting in the parking lot for swim lessons, and you're able to buy, a brand new Escalade or, a new Buick Envista, right? I mean, it's just incredible. And then you get it delivered to your house, and beyond that, you get then have the service ecosystem, right? You don't have a different touch point for the customer or the dealership. You're still operating with that convenience ecosystem that really brings value, again, to the flexibility of an employee's life, the flexibility of a customer's life, and that is the immeasurable value that is going to build lifetime employees and customers.
And I would love to ask Jesse, if it's okay, one other thing along those lines. I used to tell my employees all the time in my stores that, listen, I need you to understand that when you have a record month, you're going to make more money, and that's awesome, right? The managers will make more money, and that's awesome. But for our folks in our financial office, there's no bonus. It's just more work, right? If you say, hey, we sold 50 more cars than ever before, to them it's like, oh, awesome. I get to do more work than I ever have before for the same pay. And the deal, and what I find interesting, I'd like to ask you, Jesse, is when you have this new environment to where you have seamless communication, where you have the ability for the office to get that deal digitally. They don't wait for the F&I department 2 days later to send it over, and which allows them to close deals, to stay on top of their end of the business, and to close a financial statement more effortlessly than they ever have before. Have you seen an impact there too?
Without a doubt, right? And specifically to your point, you're talking about the expediency of a close that requires posting to accounts, and to be able to have that ecosystem again and have the automation, which otherwise would be manual, which is not only arduous, but it's slow, right? And to have a system that posts the deals automatically, everybody can access it visually, and to have automatic reconciliation, whether it's Tekion Pay or accounts payables internally, has been game-changing for us. And in the auto industry, we used to talk about a 7-day close or 4-day close or a 3-day close. And candidly, if we really pushed it, we could go down to a 48-hour close, right? Yeah. And what that does is it enables us to look to the future, because we are in the auto industry, and we do look many of our employees on a month-to-month basis, right? So to be able to close your books seamlessly without friction enables us to focus on the real, value, which is what's coming in the future and what we need to do to take advantage of the platform in order to take our business and experience to the next level.
Beautiful. I think with my experience with dealerships and being on site with them, the biggest thing I see is when we are working with the younger crowd, their ability to now be able to help with workflows, right? And they're able to jump in, update settings. They don't have to kind of learn how to code, right? They can just go in and help improve. And now you don't have to sit there and micromanage your team. You can actually let them manage themselves.
That seems like it allows them to be more confident,
yeah.
faster,
Yep.
right? And who doesn't perform better when you have a higher level of competency and competence? It makes all the sense in the world. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Jesse, I'm curious, what else in terms of talent, development, efficiency, friction, we've talked on a number of those things. What else have you noticed that maybe was a surprise? You expected seamless, you expected digital, you expected reconciliations. What was a surprise?
Perhaps the biggest challenge I anticipated that was actually not a challenge at all is our legacy users, right? We focus on, people entering to the business, the youth, the Gen Y, the Gen Z, but let's not, forget the importance of your, world-class technician who's been wrenching, for 20, 30 years, right? And my concern was like, this is a new system. They're, been clocking in and off ROs for 20, 30 years the same way. And, to their credit, they've gotten where they have by doing the same thing again and again extremely well. So the concern was, are they going to be able to adopt and adapt to this system? And the biggest surprise was seeing how well they embrace this system because, again, that historical asymmetry that they probably experience in their day-to-day activities through app-based, life touch points was now in the dealership. And so they could more focus on what they wanted to do. And to your point, the biggest surprise was seeing the level of engagement and commitment from the legacy employees, not necessarily the Gen Ys and the Gen Zs.
Basically them almost getting a little bit of a surprise and going, wow, this is easier, this is better, this allows me to do, for a tech, any second, any minute that you could save me on friction or administrative allows me to improve my tech efficiency, my productivity, and my income, as well as my happiness.
Yeah, and one thing to your point is, we all understand how frustrating, warranty can be for some individuals, right? For dealerships, for technicians, the stories, right? But to have a system that enables you to integrate with the manufacturers and build value, and again, reduce the friction, like someone's watching over your shoulder the entire time, is imperative and incredible.
That's perfect. So the last question I have for you guys is going to be, how do you use modern UI elements to enhance workflows and foster agility at the dealership level while also streamlining communications and collaboration for teams and stakeholders?
So I'll start. And to have that cross-functional integration where you have the ARC system that is the touch point for every single department allows anybody to go in there and access the data that is critical, not only for what they're doing, but to have a real-time engagement. So there's no delay. So, you can have, somebody in service, literally seeing the status of a part without having to call the parts department, asking for an update, right? So that cross-department functionality not only increases in this example, the willingness of a technician to, recommend an incremental upsell to a vehicle, knowing that they'll have the confidence that the advisor will immediately see that information to relay it to the customer, to then engage with Tekion and make a decision on whether they want to accept or decline that recommendation. And that confidence that cross-functional system brings is invaluable as well.
I apologize. I'm gonna geek out a little bit for 2 seconds. Usually when you hear the term OpenAI, it's in the context of creating software. You're talking about integrations, whether something can be easily integrated or not. And if you get outside the cinder block of this retail automotive hub of products and solutions, every other business, every other one is in an OpenAI environment. The retail automotive space has long been in a closed API environment, which has stifled creativity, has stifled innovation from a technology perspective. What we may not have considered is that closed API environment also hinders communication in a dealership. It hinders productivity in a dealership. And so what I love that you just brought up is it's this open AI, open architecture, cloud-based, mobile-focused environment. If I'm a service advisor, just give somebody a really simple real-world situation. I'm a service advisor, and I've got a client that just pulled in. It's 7:30 in the morning, and they said, yes, I bought a car, and I'm supposed to have this, and this done, or I bought a service contract. Okay, let me call the sales department. They're not open. Let me ask for that salesperson. They're not here. Okay, how about F&I? Yeah, they're off. Can you look up this? I can. And meanwhile, I've got a customer just sitting there, festering, rotting, getting a worse and worse experience, and it's because of us. It's because of that closed environment that we set our people up with. In this situation, the service advisor just simply accesses that part of the system. Oh yes, I actually see that. In a matter of seconds, seamlessly, the client doesn't feel the friction. The service advisor doesn't feel the friction. They're happy, get a better experience. The associate's so thrilled that they're able to deliver that and no longer have to deal with that. Is that real world?
Absolutely. And customers can feel the tension.
Oh man,
they can sense the frustration. You walk in there and you see the service advisor who's doing their best. But to reduce that and to allow people to focus on the customer and employees to focus on each other and create a collaborative environment is, again, something intangible and priceless.
I just can't count how many times a client in the service department, I see that they're shaking their head. Like, do you guys not even have your act together, right? Wait a minute. You can't get a hold of your own employee. You have no idea what I purchased. Like, do we understand what that looks like to a customer, to a client? It's terrible. So, but it also, do we understand emotionally what that inflicts on our associates? Who wants to be in that situation? Nobody. So this environment you're referring to, Hina, which is remarkable, and the vision that Jay and Guru and the team had to think that far ahead had to start with thinking about that client situation first. That's what's amazing about the innovation here. They had to think about everything from a client's perspective first, and what this team and this innovation can do to help Jesse and his managers and his associates do more and do better for clients. Okay, let's go make that. And they did. And you know, everything that you're saying, Jesse, is a testimonial and a validation to two things: your commitment to your people and your clients, and validation that what Jay and the team has created and what this team delivers to dealer clients is literally transformative from a talent perspective, development perspective, and client experience perspective.
If I may add, or I guess a question for you guys. One of the biggest wins I see is that most screens look exactly the same, right? And so you can go into any application and almost train yourself on it. And it's, I think, the biggest one we have. So what is your experience on that, you know, as your team's looking into finding issues, you know, making sure we talked about efficiencies? How has that experience been for you guys?
You know, to your point, everything looks the same and it works the same and it feels the same, right? And, you know, we've had instances where, you know, somebody who's been working within the Tekion ARC system as a technician or a parts counter person may want to try a role as a sales associate. And so it gives them the confidence in having the familiarity with the system to be able to go outside the comfort zone and find a position or a role that they never would have otherwise considered.
100%.
If you just listen to what Jesse just said, that is like, you can't even wrap your brain around it.
100%.
Who out there doesn't want to build a better bench? Who out there does not want to create a situation to where we can actually put the right person, as the great Jim Collins said in Good to Great, get the right people on the bus, but just as importantly, get them on the right seat on the bus. And when you could have a technician or a service advisor, I just saw one, who just said, you know what, I want to be a salesperson. And that tech is now a top salesperson, or that salesperson is now a top advisor, because we've now enabled them and we've unleashed their full potential. Not possible with a platform where every door is locked. Can I try it? No, you cannot. Can I? No, can't access it. Well, can I fight? No. That's what we've been living with for decades. So it's amazing. I love what you're doing there.
And thank you for your insight. And, you know, to your point, I mean, you increase the longevity of employees as well, right? I mean, you know, a technician, for example, that, you know, can be turned into probably one of the best service advisors, again, having the confidence in the system, because it allows them to focus on the real issue at hand, which are the opportunities with the customers and their fellow employees.
All right. With that, that's our session. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Of course.